Ignite the Light is coming to Nashville, and we're honored to support these local conscious businesses. Join our growing list of high-vibing Nashville sponsors and receive special discounts, incentives, and advertising extras while promoting your light to our attendees. Contact Jenny at adintuitive.com to get started. We'll see you in Nashville.
And now for your step astrology this week. A full moon in Libra puts a kibosh on your vision of marriage or how you see partnerships in the future. Maybe it has something to do with the heart meeting the ego. We'll find out. Greetings to my galactic family and earthly neighbors. Welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your cosmic comedian and the sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki. My mission is to witness and report on Earth's ascension and guide you along the way. We are live, by the way, and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X.com, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. If you're in any of our chat rooms tonight, please go ahead and give us your name, where you are chatting from, and your astrology sign so you can say hello to your cosmic cousins. And if you're chatting without anyone around, then move over to a place that has people. Now, our top headlines to this week for astrology, it's going to be a doozy, let me tell you. Over the weekend, the sun will conjoin Chiron. 8 hours later, we'll have a full moon in Libra. And 1 hour later after that, Venus will station direct. That means it's a cosmic divorce happening on Saturn Day. Through the week, Mercury will enter into Aries, which is going to be good, and will catapult across Neptune 0 degrees in Aries. That means expect the unexpected from the other side. And on Friday, the Virgo turns to love when Mars ingresses into Leo. But before we dive into all those topics, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is from Saturday, April 12th to Friday, April 18th, 2025. This week's zodiac weather is sponsored by the Highest Self Institute. Step into your purpose and create a career doing what you love with my dear friend Sahara Rose's 6-month Dharma Coach certification. Offered through Highest Self Institute. Want to learn more? Register your interest with Serious Joy by scanning the QR code on the screen. Taking a look at the weekend forecast, the weekend promises quite a stir. A full moon at step 23 Libra on Saturday releases you from an old vision. Then Venus stations direct, opening the doors for new creativity. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and eye-opening. Step 23 indicates that Mercury direct rules the day. This is a day where you'll feel the affirmation of, I am the we. You're realizing and accepting that I am one and all. And energetically, the moon in Libra will rise to a full moon. But before it does, the sun conjuncts Chiron. And after it does, Venus stations direct. It's a planet-filled Sunday of affirmation and transformation, leaving you with a new vision for the future. On Sunday, it's sunny and shadowboxing. Step 24 means that Venus direct rules today. This is a day where you affirm, I am satisfied. The title is Relieved and Renewed, an outlook on the future. The moon begins in Libra, but then shifts to Scorpio, where you'll begin to draw boundaries and make distance from the past. Taking a sneak peek at the 5-day workday a week, looking at the week at large, you then open up to the possibilities of a new future, commit and devote to it, take off with it, and then hold space for it to stay together. On Monday, it's sunny and honing. Step 25 means that Neptune rules the day. This is a day where you will affirm, I am humble. You are testing the limits of attitude and strength. With the moon in Scorpio, you're also drawing lines between today and tomorrow. On Tuesday, it's sunny and watchful. Step 26 indicates that Saturn rules the day. You will affirm, I am determined. And the title of the day is Aware of the Cost and Sacrifices. The moon begins in Scorpio, but then moves into Sagittarius to begin to change your inner story narrative. On Wednesday, hump day, it's sunny and relearning. Step 27 says that Mars rules the day. This is a day to move forward and accept the changes in full speed. The affirmation is, I am ascending. The title of the day is Spirit Finds Its Stride and the Mind Finds a New Beginning. In the afternoon, Mercury re-ingresses into Aries, speeding your thought process up, and the moon continues in Sagittarius, rewriting your story. On Thursday, it's sunny and galactic. Step 28 means that Mother Earth rules the day. The affirmation is, I am rendering. The title, Devoting to Spiritual Objectives. Although the moon stays in Sagittarius, Mercury will conjunct Neptune at 0° Aries, bringing to the mind some boundaries and cosmic insights you never imagined. And then on Friday, it's sunny and methodical. Step 29 indicates that Chiron rules the day. You may be tested on anything you learn during the Aries transit. The key phrase is, I am testing, and the title is Starting Over with the Heart. With the moon starts in Sagittarius, but then shifts into Capricorn, crossing the galactic center and getting serious about the future. But the biggest thrill of the day, Mars returns to Leo early that morning, returning the ego to championing the heart.
The world is starting to catch on to human design. But what is it? Through combining astrology, the I Ching, the Vedic chakra system, and the Kabbalah, human design provides you with action-oriented strategies to align with your unique energy.
Are you tired of the same old thing? Register today to get a code for 25% off a human design report or a free report with the purchase of a session.
Welcome to the rest of your life. Welcome to human design.
This week's blessings are sponsored by Human Design Products. And I got to tell you, ever since I saw Dylan last week and I've been diving into my human design, I got to tell you, it has something astrology doesn't have. You'd be good to get a product and see for yourself. And by the way, it also outlines how you manifest. A lot of people do not law of attract. There's 3 other types. Also, our second sponsor, this is the last call for the Diamond 8 Club. We're now casting our 3rd semester. We're looking for diamonds who want to become mega manifestors. You'll spend 6 months with me, month after month, working one-on-one on your chart, on your business plan, and on your goal. The diamonds that have come through my program have done incredibly well. For more information, visit senseichristopher.com. And don't forget, it's time to get tickets to Unite the Light. We'll be showing some commercials as we go through the week, but I've been doing a live every day. It's countdown, and this is the 36 days until we have our Unite the Light Summit. It's going to be a great time. If you want to know more, you can catch it every day on all of our social media. That said, if you're watching on YouTube tonight, please be kind and do subscribe. Please hit the button so you're notified, and be sure to like this channel, because it helps the algorithm bury us deep where no man can go. That's a joke. Please be kind and do subscribe. That also helps us. And if you're watching on any other platforms, please also leave a comment or leave a like. This all helps us with algorithms and social media. All right, wow, that's a mouthful. We got so much going on right now. I've got so much to say. Let's take a look at the week's planets and our transits. Oh, lordy, it's a very busy weekend, friend. We have so much going on right now. You probably noticed once we hit the sun in Aries in the 2nd chapter, life started to speed up, all right? I lost track of time. I'll be like at a place where it seems like 5 minutes, a half hour has gone by. It's like life is whizzing by. It's almost like the earth is sped up, and it kind of has. It's because we have really lifted the constraints that we've had on us. When I say constraints, I mean our karma, the heavy baggage we were born to. A lot of us are a lot lighter, we're more free, and that means we're moving on to greater and higher things. And that's sort of what the theme is this week. This whole month, by the way, is called Christening the Ego. And what that means is that we are bringing to life a new version of our ego. We believe this is a higher version of our ego, one that is not really so much taxed with survival, but more with what we call thrival. This ego is here to make us happy. And this ego is here to allow for us to have more than one choice. It's no longer me or the high ground. It is me or another option in the high ground. And as we go into this week, we're kind of putting the finishing touches on this ego and launching where the heart now will meet the ego. In other words, up until now, we focused mostly on just our actions, implementing new behavior, maybe a character change, maybe a wardrobe change. Maybe you've done some work on how you look and how you present yourself. Maybe you've left a particular situation that just wasn't working for you. A lot of action happens in Aries. A lot of things change. But this year on a profound level, right? Really intense transformation. And it really begs the question for a couple of things. First of all, as we go into the week, we're going to realize that once our heart connects with the ego, suddenly we have a friendship that we've wanted our whole life. That is the ego part of us, the survival part of us, including the heart as part of its motive. That's been the biggest problem, in my opinion, of humans' ascension, is that our ego just doesn't include the needs of the heart. And the heart always includes the needs of the soul. Our weekly theme, therefore, is the heart meets the ego. So this is the week where they're sort of introduced. You could say they get married, so to speak, and they walk down the aisle. And it's really epitomized by step 19. I'll talk more about that soon, where heart and ego are working together. Now, the subplot of the week, or something else going on, is seeing the potential of the ego. I don't think people really realize how far they can go when they fuse these two powerful forces inside themselves, that of the heart and love and serious joy and creativity and even abundance, and that of the ego, getting the job done, getting the job done, being number one, willing to compete with yourself to be better every day. Those are the forces of the ego. So when you put those two together, you have an unstoppable force. Why did it take humankind this many years to figure it out? I don't have the answer for that, but I'll have the answer for when you will figure it out for you. Now, that begs the question of the week. Where do I fear let's do this again. Where do I fear the open door of the potential? Now, what that means is, where in your life are you looking at a potential and you're suddenly afraid? There's a reason for that. And that reason is probably actually inside out to what you would think. In other words, now that you're stronger than ever, now that your heart is coming online, when you see an option, you get afraid, it's almost a sign you're meant to go there. So a fascinating trait that's happening right now with this new age is that a lot of things are flipping in their definitions. We've noticed, for instance, on our staff that Libras and Aries are almost changing places to some degree. So are Leos and Aquariuses. And the other thing we've also noticed is now that we feel strong, fear is actually what you go for, what you move into. It's all now a guiding light. It's not something you avoid. It's something you steer straight into. And they always said face fear head on. But do we ever say plan your life toward it? I think it's part of what is new and what is happening. Now, as we move through the week, it's going to be extremely busy. This is all really by the nature of what we call planets and transits. The planets are the focusing agents of the human states of awareness. Turns out the 12 signs are actually 12 states of awareness, 12 areas of being alive and seeing and being alive as a human. We're, of course, in the Aries state of awareness right now, which means we're focusing on the part of us that is the ego, which is known as the willpower, known as strength, known as determination, and known as our major motivation in life, or motivates us to move forward. And in this 1 week, we're going to go quite far. We go from step 23 to step 29. So we wrap up this Aries transit. And in this wrap up, we have some incredible things happening, like fireworks to the last minute. The first really happens over the weekend. On Saturday, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, on Saturday, we will have the Sun conjunct Chiron, first of all, which happens around noon Eastern time. And so Sun Chiron means that your heart finally comes to terms with a vision you had about the future. Some vision about whether or not it would work or not work. Maybe you thought that you could never get into grad school, or perhaps you thought someone like you could never own their own business, and they say never means never. Never say never, rather, because ultimately you will probably end up doing it. So we have a major healing that our vision comes alive. 8 hours later, there's a full moon in Libra, which will inevitably divorce you from a certain way of thinking about the future, divorce you from literally people, realizing you can't get along with certain people now that you realize who you are and what you're doing. And this full moon at the same time, too, is going to give you a new vision for what to do next. And then 1 hour after that, Venus stations direct. Now, that's amazing, okay? Talk about the universe having no downtime. That means on Saturday to Saturday night, you will basically turn your life around and wake up on Sunday feeling completely different. Some other things going on this week, very important. Mercury will move into Aries on Wednesday. Now, this is important because at this point, once we have Venus direct and Mercury direct, all planets are direct. That means full steam ahead. Expect your plot and your life to move like the speed of light, or maybe faster. And Wednesday actually goes to a higher speed. Then Mercury will conjoin Neptune on Thursday. I'm expecting some eye-opening truths about that. You might download something from a higher self, from a spirit guide, or come out of the closet with yourself about something you were hiding from yourself. And then also this week, I think exciting, Mars goes back into Leo finally after its retrograde in December, which means our ego is now focused on our heart, which is interesting. Again, what we said earlier, that the we-go meets the heart, well, that's because Mars moves into Leo. So let's take a look at our planet, shall we, and see how things are unfolding. We're going to start first with the sun, but I need some water already. All right. As I said, the sun this week goes from step 23 to step 29. This means that you're going to move from a vision of the future to actually being tested on those plans by the final day. 29 is always the Grandmaster test. And so this is probably uncharted territory. And not only is it uncharted territory, it most likely leads to a change of character. Especially in the United States, we kind of call people out on their character based on what they do. Like the first thing you might ask at a party is, what do you do for a living? And we're like, I'm a lawyer. And so that's the character. You're a lawyer because all you do is law work, right? Or dentistry. You're a dentist. So we tend to label ourselves after what we do. And because we're at a major change in our life, a major turning point with all the karma we've healed, we're now ready to change vocations. We're not going to be doing the same thing we've been known to do. So I think this week is a fascinating week where you will envision that. You will feel out if you accept it. You will, in fact, then check with God to see that it's okay. You'll devote to it, and then boom, the sun will cross 27 degrees, which is a strong marker because the North Node has been there. And so at this point, you launch. So this week, you launch your new character, you launch your new objectives, and your new action plan all in 1 week and rather fast. Now, Chiron, as I mentioned, goes from step 22 to step 23. This is a big deal because 22 is really chaos, the ability to find where you truly belong in the world. And so you could say that we find ourselves. We realize where we really belong. We come out of the clouds and we realize our heart belongs in one given place or another. And once Chiron goes to 23, then we start healing anything we have around the label of that. So I remember, for instance, that because of a past life, I was afraid to call myself an astrologer, and I was really afraid to call myself a psychic. I mean, hugely afraid. I had to heal that part of myself that was adverse to the label before I could ever go out there and describe myself as one. And it took me like the first 6 years of my career to ever use the word psychic. I was just too afraid to use it. This is the same type of thing. If you have some sort of a wound, a trauma around a label or a title, you'll be healing that or starting to heal that this week. Neptune is staying at step 0, which is, kind of hit and miss, literally. Neptune is our psychic abilities, but having Neptune at 0 means we technically have access to anything in the galactic cosmos because that 0 is like a wide open door. You might be having some intense dreams. You might be connecting to other beings on other planets. You might even be listening to rocks. 0 is pretty much an infinite potential of what you can connect to. But also for some people, it means that people will shut down from their intuition even. It depends on the person and how vulnerable their Neptune is in their natal planet. And then natal chart, excuse me. And then Mercury this week will finally zip through Pisces and move into Aries. And this is great. So we're going to intellectually, now that it's direct, wrap up the shadow period and our mind starts thinking about details at work and things we need to do. So it's all about get back to work in Aries. In Pisces, it's about don't get back to anything from the past. Saturn this week moves from 25 to 26. That means that we're taking responsibility and devoting ourselves to a new spiritual mission. Literally, Mercury goes from 27 to 1 degree Aries. So that means that we ultimately, that was correct before, excuse me. Mercury goes from 27 to 1 degree Aries, Pisces. So it ultimately is going to be blazing through the tips of Pisces, like wrapping up what our mind thinks our spiritual mission is, and then working through the logistics every day of what needs to be done with ourselves. Venus stations direct, thank goddess, because the goddesses are online, moves from step 24 to 25. Now this means that we open up and we have a new definition of what relationships are. And then when Venus at 25 hits, it means that we're kind of tuning into our relationship to God and what we feel our calling is. The North Nodes finally moved this week from step 27 to step 26. Remember, nodes move backwards. And that means that the universe is commanding us now to not focus on what we're going to change, but focus on what we're promising when we change. Incidentally, let's go ahead and flip to the Virgo South Node. With the North Node at 27-26 Pisces, we're committing to our spiritual legacy. We're devoting ourselves to where we want our relationship to be with God. We're focusing on the long-term, long run of our soul's picture and life picture. But the South Node of Virgo means that we are then going to be tearing apart things that are fragile and don't work anymore. And once South Node hits 26, we'll be actually committing to uncommit. So 26 Virgo, unfortunately, is the divorce degree. It's a degree where many people break things off. And you may wonder, why Virgo and not Libra? Well, for a lot of people, it's not about their marriage anymore. It's not about their relationships. It's about their life. A lot of people they were over the relationships a long time ago, but they got so embedded in each other's lifestyle they couldn't leave and separate. So I know my grandparents were that way. I think they were tired of each other in many ways, but they just stuck around because they didn't want to try something new. South Node of 27 Virgo would say, separate anyways. So I think we're going to find a lot of people being laid off. I think we're going to find people, being separating in relationships, and I think it might be a surprise to a lot of people because for other practical reasons, it looked like it was working, but that's because they were just sort of codependent lifestyle. They weren't really in love at that time. Now, Uranus and Taurus. Oh boy, Uranus and Taurus is at step 25 Taurus this week. This is a good step number, I think, for Uranus because it tempers Uranus with compassion. So I think for the first time, if you've got big plans, like I always do, you'll probably be a bit more compassionate to yourself about those plans. You'll probably be more patient, more willing to listen to both sides and meditate on it more. But it also means that you are fusing your spiritual work with your physical work. And this in particular to the Tauruses. So Tauruses, it's time to, be very acutely aware of what the spiritual mission is underneath your work and make sure the two are working together and working together as a team. Now looking at the moon, take a look at the moon. The moon right now is in Libra and will continue in Libra through Saturday and then early Sunday morning. Of course, we have that full moon in Libra that happens, and apex is on Saturday night. This full moon in Libra, I have to say to Librans, this is the final blow. And I mean that in the nicest way, but Librans have been through a hell of a lot. And a lot of that's because they are so passive aggressive. You don't even realize where you're holding on because you're passive about it. You're even passive to yourself. So you've been finding yourself and you've been finding yourself holding on to things that you trained yourself not to look at. So it's been difficult for you. I've talked to a lot of you. But this full moon will finally shake it off. It'll finally let go and help you let go of some big ideas and big plans that you had. And because of those big plans, you were unwilling to change small things in your life. So it looks like the universe had to break up the big plans first to get to the smaller plans. And don't worry, you'll be able to make big plans again, but just not right now. That full moon ultimately means that everyone on the planet is going to go through a change in how they feel about long-term relationships, about long-term partnerships. And then the moon moves in Scorpio Sunday night, Monday, and half of Tuesday. And so when the moon's in Scorpio, that'll be divorce time. That's when you'll go cold. Someone will go cold on you. Someone might ghost you. And so that's emotions shut off dramatically. And so we're left to ourselves between Sunday night and Tuesday morning to really feel through where the boundary is and whether or not to end something or whether or not to keep something alive, maybe to give it some more attention. It doesn't have to go to ending. A lot of times people decide to stay up with the relationship because they realize after the examination it's going to work. Then Tuesday night, the moon goes into Sag. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, very optimistic. Even the part of Friday, very optimistic. We're emotionally learning. We're learning from ourselves. We're developing new philosophies. And if you found yourself kind of moping or feeling dark when the moon was in Scorpio, this definitely looks like it'll be a very bright emotional tone on Friday and Saturday. And then through the weekend, things get a little icy as the moon goes into Capricorn. All right, so that said, Gemini. In Gemini, we have jumping Jupiter, and Jupiter is going from 17 to 18 degrees. That's step 17, step 18. This is a fun degree because really we have made up our mind. Jupiter in Gemini has helped us to grow out of our old thinking. We've been introduced to new ways of looking at it. Doesn't mean you had to adopt what you were looking at, but a person does one of two things when someone is introduced a new idea. They either double down on what they know and what they believe in, or they open up and they relax their beliefs. Now, I would say opening up is always better than doubling down, but this does mean with Jupiter at 18 degrees that people's minds are made up. I wouldn't recommend trying to convince somebody at 4th of July that they're voting for the wrong person. I think their mind will be closed. They're going to go with this narrative. And really, unfortunately, this is pretty much the end of the line. Most people will not be able to change directions of thinking after step 18. So this is it. It's sort of locked in. If your friend hasn't seen the light by Friday, chances are they will not see the light in the near future. Now, Mars, on the other hand, is finally wrapping up its transit in Cancer. This week it goes from step 27, Cancer, to 0 degrees Leo, as we told you. So it means that we go from moodiness and stirring our feelings and getting to the bottom of emotional pain and trauma. All fun topics, right? Thanks, Mars. On to where's the play? Where's the fun? So if you haven't had a lot of fun, you are up for a bit of a breakdown, I have to say, when Mars moves into Leo, because you're suddenly going to feel very empowered to do what you want to do, but you probably won't know how to direct that energy carefully. So be careful to those who have a vulnerable Mars in Leo. Now, in the Scorpio domain, we have good old Black Moon Lilith. And I can't tell you, there cannot be a better character than Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. It's about dark as a dark, is how things get, right? But she's going from step 1 to step 2 this week, so you will face fears you have about loving yourself. I've had fears about loving myself. So many people have said that I'm full of myself and all kinds of things. You start listening to people and they tell you stuff like that and wondering, like, is that true? And, I realized very on that, all my fear in myself was due to the fact that I wasn't loving myself enough. And I realized that loving myself meant that I don't let the fear continue, that I face it, that I go get educated, that I do what I need necessary so that it doesn't resonate in my being. And so I think for a lot of people, if you find yourself incredibly just sort of buried in fear and you're just kind of frozen, chances are it has to do with self-love or self-nurturing, that your heart needs more attention from you, or your feelings need much more attention from you. And so by focusing on that attention, I think you'll get yourself out of detention. All right, so that's going to be good for all parties, by the way, because this is for across the board. When it comes to Aquarius, we have Pluto, and Pluto is at good old step 3 this week again. So God Universe is saying you have the vision for who you are. No one else has the vision but your guardian angels and perhaps your guardian agent. And so Pluto at 3 says you must protect what you believe. And it's funny, but because if a person has issues with protecting their beliefs, or if they have issues with really staying into their belief structure, you'll be challenged on that. Someone will come up and try to talk you out of your version of God, or whether or not you accepted the Lord Jesus Christ. If you are very sensitive and defensive about it and not absolute about it, I think you're going to find that you draw on challenges. So if you draw on challenges, if people start saying you are wrong about what you believe, well then go back to Sensei and realize you need some more time with Uranus. And then lastly, we talked about the South Node, and I'll just say it one more time. All this boils down to the South Node at 27, moving to 26, which means that you will either have something kind of bulldozed in your life, or you'll have the full plans for the bulldozer, and you'll be ready to sign the check and get that thing going in any day now. So fascinating stuff as far as where the planets are. Now, I think the best way to learn this is to, learn about you. So let's go steep ourselves some tea and have our soul horoscope. From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon. Serious Joy Academy and Introduction to Step Astrology will go live in the Taurus season.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel that there is something more? You're that friend that everyone goes to whenever they have a problem. You're that person who makes friends with someone at a party, and before you know it, 3 seconds in at the snack table, they're telling you all of their childhood trauma. And the thing is, you love supporting people. However, you have not made a dime doing it. Our 6-month training at the Highest Self Institute shifts you from not even knowing your purpose to diving deep into your dharma, your calling, the big reason why you are here, and then how to create a profitable career helping people remember theirs. Doors are open right now, and they only open 2 times a year. We are so excited to welcome you inside. Can't wait.
Unite the Light is coming to Nashville, and we're honored to support these local conscious businesses. Join our growing list of high-vibing Nashville sponsors and receive special discounts, incentives, and advertising extras while promoting your light to our attendees. Contact Jenny at adintuitive.com to get started. We'll see you in Nashville.
Looking at the planets ahead, my friends, woo, it's a doozy this weekend. First of all, we have the full moon in Libra. As I mentioned earlier, that's going to be a vision quest change. It's going to be at step 23 apex. That full moon's in Libra. It's a big one where you ultimately are going to realize that your mind has been championing something that you don't feel and believe in. You're not feeling anymore. You don't believe it anymore, but your mind keeps saying, I do, I do. When your feelings say, I don't, I don't. So I'll be telling you today where you are saying, I don't. And that's where you can say, I do with the heart. That means it's time to take on a new path, a new legacy, a new direction. I'll tell you where when it comes to your sign. I'll also talk about what Venus direct means for you. It means it's time to open up now and accept and receive some high vibration of Aries energy and Pisces energy. First Pisces. So this is you really taking the pill, the blue pill or the red pill when it comes to your spiritual mission. Then we have Mercury conjoining Neptune in early Aries. That means that your mind is now going to open up for unlimited potential when it comes to your future. And then I'll talk about Mars and Leo, where you're going to be hot under the collar for love and perhaps chase. And by the way, you got a lot of love going on this weekend and this summer. You should be excited if you're single. Let's start with the Aries. Aries, this full moon is going to be a literal hit to the marriage and partnerships. The way you used to see marriage is just not the way it's going to be in the future. Now, part of that's because you're no longer the aggressor. A lot of Aries are now turning towards being led by others, taking second seat, leading from the back. And so most of the time in the old school Aries, they were getting married from the old traditions of, man is in charge, woman is following, that kind of thing. So your vision, your philosophy for marriage is absolutely changing with this full moon. And if you don't do the changing, he or she will for you. I'll tell you that right now. Now, what this is for is really to free you to be the person you become to be, or come to be. And so this relationship ending will give you new freedom that allow you to explore about the cabin. Now, Venus direct does mean that it's time to embrace and accept your relationship to God. And I'm not saying it's a general thing. I'm saying it's a literal thing. Do something to accept your relationship to God. Prove it, okay? Don't just say it. And Mercury conjoining Neptune says, hey, anything can go. Let your mind have a complete clean slate when it comes to the way you view your behavior. Don't judge yourself with the way you treat yourself. Just treat yourself better, and don't judge yourself any further than that. And then lastly, when it comes to personal dreams, Mars in Leo says, woohoo, it's time now for you to chase after your personal dreams. That's an official green light when it comes to romance, children, creativity, music, or anything that you can discover some serious fun. All right. Taurus. My Tauruses. We are moving forward with this full moon, really ultimately with inner faith. So the sun at 23 says you'll have a new vision of faith and a new connection to God, but it's because you get divorced from some vision you have about lifestyle. I know what mine's going to be. It's not going to be the vision that I have to work all the time. I'm going to go ahead and die. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to have a robot learn astrology. I'm just kidding. I'll figure something out. But the point is like, it's time to let go of the vision of lifestyle for you. It's not the lifestyle you hoped or dreamed of, and it's just not suiting you anymore. It's time to reorganize that. You don't have to know what it is, but you have to know it's not going to serve you any further. Now, at the same time, this means you have to open up now and really accept God Universe as your higher self, God Universe as your source of energy. Let God Universe guide you, but you have to let God Universe in. Okay, that means accept and feel that vibration. And then, of course, we have Mars in Leo, which means Tauruses are now going to really move forward with feeling grounded, feeling at home, feeling really centered in their home and beautifying their home. So it's time to go out shopping for the castle. And I think you got to go somewhere besides Home Depot. Just saying. We ready for Gemini? We are? Okay. Gemini! Geminis, I've been watching you grow and I'm proud of you. First and foremost, this full moon is going to be you expressing and moving towards a different vision of personal dreams. So Geminis want something else for Christmas. And that means they want something else when it comes to marriage partners and something else when it comes to serious joy, true love. So you're changing your personal dreams. You are upgrading your vision of serious joy. It's not exactly what you used to think it was. And it's probably something you never would have thought of, by the way. Now, this will happen because of the full moon happening when it comes to your... that's not correct. That's off a little bit. Okay, Venus direct, excuse me. So with Venus direct, this means that ultimately you're going to be moving towards you opening up and accepting a new career and new legacy. So by accepting new career and legacy, by accepting that you may have a different path of leadership, this probably paves the way for your new personal dreams. And this also paves the way, of course, for your legacy to have great potential. Now, Mercury conjoining Neptune says you have to stay open-minded about your social reputation. You may get everything you want, but in a place in the world you never thought you'd be. You may have to protect your thoughts and not tell people who you are at first because you're in a completely foreign territory. And your relationship to society may be something far beyond you ever thought it would be. A lot of Geminis think themselves into corners and they don't realize that life is much bigger than their neural pathway. And then lastly, with Mars and Leo, it's now time to go ahead and chase after the ideas you are in love with. So when it comes to being a Gemini, if you love the idea, if you love the concept, spend some time, try it out, build a beta version of it and see what it does for you. All right. I didn't come out too easy for Gemini. Cancers! Cancer. Well, you are ultimately working on a new career path and new direction in life. But in order to get there, you're going to have to let go of an old vision of what emotional security is. And I think Cancers are being forced to let go of the traditional family. Yeah. I think your vision of traditional family is outdated. And not to say you're old-fashioned, it's just that we're not doing it that way anymore. I mean, not even 1 out of 2 households end up having the same parents by the time the kids are a certain age. So that old, 2.5 children and a picket fence is just gone. Of course, it has been there for years, but I think now even fighting for that idea. So it's time to have a new vision about what makes emotional security, and what gives you emotional security and what brings your children emotional security if you're not going to have the same family dynamic. So revisioning emotional security. Now this will turn into your heart being free to choose new ways with career. Maybe you travel for your career. You never thought about that. Maybe you work in a far away place for your career and come back, which is travel, I guess, in the same way, but I'm thinking more of like an internship. But whatever it is, you ultimately are now going to let go of your family structure in order to let your career move forward. Now, with Venus direct in Pisces, it means that now it's time to open up and really accept a new life purpose, or accept the fact that you don't have one, all right? And that means it's time to get one. And you don't get one without trying. So be prepared to try, not just open up and contemplate. Don't just look at magazines and pictures. Actually go forward and try with that. And of course, with the other point I want to talk about is that with Neptune and Mercury in Neptune, Mercury in Aries. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. You really got to keep an open mind about leadership and legacy and career. I have a feeling that Cancer's going to end up doing something they never thought they would do before. But once you get into the place of it, you're going to realize you're damn good at it, okay? So you have a lot of hidden talents that haven't come forward yet because you've been too prejudiced with what you would aim for or what you would audition for or what you would work for to begin with. Now, that said, it does look like with Mars moving into Leo that it's time to move forward with money issues. Get a job for money's sake. Go ahead. You don't have to have a job you love right now. You'd have a lot of income coming in. And with that income, you'll find that great things will be able to happen. This is a short term when I'm talking about Mars and Leo, but it's a needed boost. I think Cancers need a bit of a boost to remind themselves of just how hot they really are. All right. Moving on. Leos. Now, this is a tough month for Leo sometimes. At least it has been in the past because you have to accept the fact that you were wrong a lot. You're right. So the Sun in Aries is your belief structure, and your belief structure has always been very single-minded. So a lot of Leos get called selfish or self-centered because of Aries in their 9th house, that they use Aries energy to manage their belief structure. That means that you basically go around saying, I know everything and you know nothing, right? Now that part of you is changing because the full moon is saying your attitude in life has got to change, period. You got a bad attitude in life. You got a bad attitude about who you are right now. When I say bad, I mean it's going to lead to things that you don't love, not lead you things to what you do love. So you got to reboot that now and heal it as soon as possible. Now, ultimately, that bad attitude about things in life is actually a direct result from the fact that you have been, of course, going down belief patterns that were based on learning and not belief patterns that are based on knowing your personal purpose. So the full moon will say, hey, let's let go of that bad attitude. Let's let go of that wrongful information. Let's let go of the time the person lied to me. And let's focus instead on what dreams or what missions give me real meaning. It makes me feel really strong and important in the world. That's the direction to go. Let go of the thoughts and the attitude. Now, with Venus direct in Pisces, this means now it's time to open up and embrace change. You are going to change in a big way, Leo. I think, I have a Leo rising and Leo moon, so I think, probably by the time you see me in September, I'm going to look and feel very different, and so will you. It's just we're going through this change. It also means with Mercury conjuncting Neptune that you must now believe in yourself by default and never go back to not believing in yourself. And the other aspect too is it has to do with your own character and your own fire. You're going to become incredibly hot and tempting and spiritually dangerous in a way because you're going to be super attractive when Mars goes into Leo. Alrighty. Excuse me. Virgo. Looks like some business plan is going to fall apart or some relationship to a strategic partner or someone you have aligned with when it comes to manufacturing or some piece of your product, product pipeline. So yeah, something goes down. It could be a fulfiller. It could be a supplier. It could be someone who is ultimately selling your goods for you and you've realized they're corrupt. Something goes down when it comes to actually making money, but it's not because you've been, doing stupid things. On the contrary, I think it's because, frankly, you've been clearing things out and getting rid of kind of clutter when it comes to your personal trust issues and your abandonment issues. And so I think Virgos are going to find that by changing their boundary structure and changing the way they shape their boundary structure, like who you let in, who you don't, you immediately will find that you feel more valuable and you immediately find that you draw in more abundance and start finding a lot more quarters on the ground, so to speak. So, excuse me. Sorry about that, Virgos. Heal me, would you? But ultimately, I think what this comes down to is being more flexible in your boundaries, and that leads to self-worth going at a higher level. I think being more flexible in your boundaries also comes down to you being more nurturing with yourself and more compassionate with yourself. It's all sort of tied together, right? Now, excuse me, as we talk about Venus starting direct again in Pisces, Virgos are going to now start to open up and adopt a new approach to marriage and partnership. And this approach is the final approach. I think you will not go back on this for a long time. Sure, variations of a theme, but never going off the theme. This is it. Virgos finally understand what it takes for them to have love and to sustain love. Now, it doesn't mean you're capable of it. It doesn't mean that you're practiced at it either, but it means you know better now. With Mercury and Neptune coming together, this means that It's time to have a fresh mind when it comes to trust and intimacy. It's time to start completely over when it comes to trust and intimacy. And that means you start new over with how you trust yourself and why, and build yourself up from there. So that's very powerful as well. And then lastly, I think, Mars in a Leo for you is going to be a big stirring of your subconscious. So as Mars goes through Leo, Virgos will be prone to accident, injury, or anger. As Mars stirs the pot of your subconscious and calls for you to dig stuff out that you've been ignoring, and frankly, that have been dimming your light and lowering your expectations and potential approvals. All right. So much to talk about. Libras. Libra. I think this is the death of the Libra character of passive aggressive. That's what I think. I think that you're no longer going to, wimpy foot around it anymore. I think that you're going to find that Libras get very direct and very clear from the beginning, which they've always been capable of, but they weren't able to do it because they couldn't go cold in front of the person. Some Libras can, but most Libras can't. They feel too sensitive, and so when they disrupt the boat, they feel too disrupted, and so they just can't tell you the way it's like and the way it is. But what's happening is God Universe is increasing your money and increasing your ability to make money, and so God is luring you around with a carrot, saying, hey, come on out. It's time to face the piper and time to learn about you, where you need to grow. So I think Libras have been avoiding that. But what's going to happen in the full moon is that you're going to find that parts of your character just don't suit you anymore. Maybe clothing, maybe styles, maybe certain things for like a hobby or something. So you realize your relationship to your style is now quiet and tired. And that it's now time to look at your relationship to everyone else and do some deep dive examining. So I think that Librans really start to focus on changing the way they perceive others in a relationship. That's a big one. And then moving onward, to understand how they must now change the way they relate to themselves in order to get there. Now, the other aspect that's interesting is that we have, of course, we have the transit of Venus back in Pisces. And the universe says, hey, Libras, it's time to really embody a lifestyle of high vibration, of spirituality. Live highest to God consciousness in your day-to-day moment, and you will find that your life is in that consciousness, which is pretty cool. Also, at the same time, we have, of course, the Mercury conjunct Neptune aspect going on, and the Mars moving into Leo. And for Librans, the Mercury and 0 degrees, Neptune 0 degrees Aries is that you're going to realize you have a whole new approach now in marriage and partnership altogether. That's just not going to work the way it was. The model is dead. Maybe, Tinder killed it, just like radio killed the video star, or video killed the radio star. I mean, it's just done. But at the same time, too, I think the universe is, humans are done with the way you've treated us in relationships, just saying. Now, lastly, I think it's important to know that life will change with friendships, too. It looks like your social ambition is going to go through a lot of challenges and changes for the better when Mars moves into Leo. And I think one of the things that Librans don't understand is that you have Leo in the 11th house. That means you're meant to show off, be the star, be the center of attention. You're not supposed to be this fair and just person that holds yourself back. You have Leo in the house of society, so you're here to be a star, someone shining bright. And I recommend those Libras who want that to go for it now. All right. Whew. Scorpios. Scorpio, you are now... Well, first of all, the sun in Aries, you are focusing on a new home, family, and foundation. So you're, no, excuse me, you're not, excuse me. I'm getting two people confused based on someone I know. Let's try it again. With the sun in Aries, you are focusing rebuilding your lifestyle to one of great quality. And a lot of Scorpios have built really hard lifestyles where they're just whistling while they work and forced in the military or forced to shut up in the monastery. I mean, really, really strong, but really, really abused. And so as a result, the South Node is saying to you, you got to let go of your karma, you got to let things go. You're not going to be able to change your life unless you change the way you relate to yourself right now. So if you really want to get ahead on learning, then, hand us some sort of thing, that markers to your friend and say, hey, watch me do this for a while. And go out there and actually put your energy into something you can actually measure and see how things change. I think that's going to be the best way to go for you, to really see your ambition change and your partnerships change. So go for it. We're behind you on that one. Now, with you letting go of the things that you said would never happen, such as God not liking you and whatnot, focus on your day-to-day life. It's your life that has to make some concrete changes, so that you're no longer a slave to your own life, so you're no longer giving too much away. It's your life that has to have some real right turn, left turn examples for you to really see that faith dry up now, or issues dry up. With Venus going direct in Pisces, you should know that God Universe wants your personal dreams to come true now. I know it's sort of like too little too late. There's a lot of the attitude I'm getting from Scorpios, but if you open up and let your dreams come true, if you open up and let your heart say yes to your heart again, I don't think you'll be disappointed. The whole new calibration of Scorpio is for them to get what their heart really wants. And we've all been questioning whether Scorpios would go for it because you've been hurt so many times in the process. We doubted it. And I say we, I mean other other astrologers who follow you as much as I do. I keep doing this and lose my place here because I move the mouse. It's crazy. But what's important for you to know too is that that you have a lot of change coming when Mercury crosses Neptune in the house of lifestyle. It does not have to be any way you've ever seen before. You don't have to have a hard-working life to make ends meet. You don't have to give it all away to make ends meet. You don't have to always be stuck in the make ends meet zone. So remember to have a complete open palette of creativity when you approach your daily life. You're very clever. You can make it better and you can make it different. And then lastly, I think it's important to know that career legacy stuff is going to change now that finally all these parts of you are freed up. I know you feel like you've gotten a bad run at your career and your potential. I know most Scorpios want more power, not less. But truth would be known, you weren't ready to have that much power when you weren't connected to your inner child, like the universe is saying to do to now. So, in a way, you've been guarded over by God consciousness very much, and the things that have happened have kept you from getting in trouble. And that's nice because that's kind of the way you treat others when things are hard. Ooh, that was a stumbly one. Sorry. Capricorns. You are actually going to let go of an old vision of career success. So what you define as success is...
We should be on Sag.
Oh, I skipped Sag? Okay, fuck. Yeah. Thank you from the top. In a little minute. I think you have to take a break halfway through these.
Okay.
I mean, in the future, that's where it is. There's a lot of information here.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like my brain starts farting. There was a moment where I forgot what sign I was on. I was so caught in the detail. I was like, what sign is this? I had to actually read it real quick to figure out who I was talking about. I'm glad you didn't notice. Or did you?
You pulled it up. You put it together.
Yeah, I did.
Which I think is also sort of good because then I think people feel like it's live, so.
It must be live. He keeps fucking up. All right. Just the tea on here. Almost done. 10 minutes. Okay. Still rolling? We rolling?
Yes, sir.
Trust but verify. Sagittarius. Sagittarius is, I'm excited for you because you are now going to change with this full moon your social ambition. Sagittarius are very open, very cool people. You can talk to them for all hours of the night. If you meet them and they look like they're single, they're not single. They're dating someone way over there, but they're talking to you because they're so friendly. They don't cheat. It's not that matter of thing. They're just always around the world talking to people. And so what's funny is that you are going to be changing now your social ambition. What you used to think was necessary is no longer necessary. What you used to think you had to prove, you no longer have to prove. And the reason why that is happening is because you're having a change of heart. The sun in Aries means that Sagittarius want to do stuff new now. Their heart has seen a lot of things. It's gotten repetitious, and you want things that are more fun and more exciting and full of, well, there's just that zest of life and that anxiety that you like to hold all the time. So Sagittarius and Sag risings, I think, are going to have a change of heart. They're going to be chasing after different things that they love. And as a result, you're going to find your life and your reputation has some sort of a social upgrade as a return. Now, with that said, you are at the same time, when it comes to family and emotional security, this is an area where you're going to open up and take one more look at. It's time to open up and redefine yourself with emotional security. Emotional security may not mean that you have a family that doesn't yell. Maybe it means that you have a family that pays the bills. It can verify through different means. At the same time, I think you're going to realize when it comes to personal dreams and your personal serious joy that it's now time to go for it. Mercury conjoining Neptune says, time for a clean slate and a clean mind. Give yourself a second chance with career and see where that might take you. And at the same time, I think it's important too with life purpose and mastery. You are also, on this path of making the perfect life. Mars in Leo says, hey, it's time to make the perfect life. It's time for Sagittarius to chase after the stuff that they love the most. And these are beliefs that you love. These are travel plans that you love. These are things like, even college courses that you love. You love to learn. You love to explore. You love to travel. It's no secret to anyone. And Mars is giving you the green light to do it and do it fast. So good luck, Sagittarius. I can't wait to see you with different ambition. Moving on. Capricorns. Capricorns have the full moon knocking out a plan they had for their career legacy. Believe it or not, you have not always had the greatest vision for your career. You've had a very ambitious vision where you want to control it all and own it all and be it all. But what was the all? I think you were choosing that kind of haphazardly. I don't think Capricorns were going after things that they loved and wanted to change the world through love. Not most of them, I'm not saying all. And so as a result, a lot of you got married to the wrong career and the wrong man or woman. And so you're still in recovery for this, but you are coming a long way now from the original wound. I think now it's time to let go of some sort of plans you had, because what has to replace it is you feeling grounded, you feeling better. So you stepping into greater self-care, you stepping into a home that you care about, you stepping into more hours doing nothing at home. I think you'll be sharper about what you want out of your life. Now, when it comes to Venus and Pisces, now it's time to open up and embrace a new attitude you've adopted. This attitude must be, pain-free, karma-free, and free of self-judgment, of course. Open up and accept yourself for who you are, and then go out and say hi to someone. You might be surprised that you run straight into the real deal that night. Just saying. And then lastly, Pisces, Capricorn, you are now going to be, when it comes to the Aries energy, it's now time to look at family as a completely new, clean slate. You've done your karma with your family now. You've faced your karma, but you haven't shown God Universe that you can do something again without rebuilding it with karma in it. So it's time to reinvent your home family or life situation at home. And it's time to open up to things you've never had in the home, aspects, plants, aromatherapies, just things that will make it feel better all the time. Lastly, you should know, Capricorns, that when it comes to your health and your personal transformations in life, this too is an area that you're going to see growing very fast. Mars in Leo says, time to change your life. So I wouldn't be surprised if you heard this video at the beginning of the Scorpio transit, or excuse me, Libra transit, and by the end you'd already followed through with what I suggested, which means you'd be moving in less than 30 days. Just saying. Kind of scary, but it does happen. Two more. Aquarius. Aquarius says, you are now changing your attachment to a big picture plan. Because you want to think the way you want to think. You're actually very stubborn and obstinate about thinking what you want to think. You're demanding independence and demanding freedom in your mind. Well, okay, you have it, but that also means that people not really felt you were approachable, and so you haven't been very teachable. So because you've been so close to control, you've shut out the learning. And so you're way behind on your homework. You need to catch up. Your Venus has a hole in it, so to speak, has an open hole. And so ultimately you're just having energy flowing through it, unfortunately. Now what this means is that with this full moon, you're going to really feel in your heart this new vision, I think, for what purpose can be. Like what it's really meaningful, what's really purposeful. And that meaning and purpose gives you permission to let go of certain ideas that you were not letting go of. So your mind was very fixed on staying to the goal, but your beliefs is sort of checked out a long time ago. And so I think once you see that dynamic, it'll be easier to change, or at least easier to let go. Now, at the same time, of course, we have some God Universe coming in, along the Venus direct route. With Venus direct, it means you're going to open up now. You're going to see a new vision of what abundance is. You're going to see a new vision of what's possible when it comes to making money. I think this is really powerful because this is going to help you sort of, I think, get out of the cliches of what you can do and can't do. Knowing this money, knowing this direction, then you can, in essence, move on to a new attitude, a new intellectual purpose. It means that as you move forward, you want to have a clean slate with your purpose and not get in the way of, like old definitions get in the way. And then lastly, a big one is marriage and partnership. I think that to your surprise, marriage and partnership are continuing to change. And it's very important that you each individually stay strong about what you believe in yourself, and then see if the marriage or partnership can evolve around those two pillars, believing in oneself. All right. And then lastly, but never leastly, the Pisces. Pisces, you are transforming, I think, really intimacy. And for you, you use Libra energy to transform your trust, your intimacy. And so that's right. Pisces go in and out. People go in and out of Pisces' bed. It is a teeter-totter of Libra energy there. But it's now time to take some, to maybe hold from changing some things. And what's motivating this for you is money. Pisces want to make better money. You deserve more. You do. You have been living a lie to yourself, thinking that spirituality is the only thing that pays for you. You can make a lot of money in a lot of places, and you can do what your heart wants at the same time. So I think you should, now that you've freed yourself from the things that won't work, really start to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and daydream about what could work, because I think that's going to change things for you big time, which will lead to some financial money. Now, what has to happen with Venus and Pisces is your character is going to go through one little makeover, okay? This makeover is really an adaptation to what's coming. So you're going to be adapting to maybe a change in location, maybe a change in like what it's like to go to school, all these different varieties. And you can just tell, ultimately if you like him or not, but whether your heart is opening up or not. So open up, be clear, and give everything a chance. But know that your character has got to be what makes you happiest and makes you most joyful. It's not here for others, despite what the Bible says. Now, that said, also, abundance in money and distribution, oh my, stay open to how money can come. The universe is saying, come in a way that you never anticipated. And so because you're telepathic and you're psychic, you can get the inside trade on something a lot sooner than someone else. And it's, hey, it popped in your head. Is that legal? I don't even know. Prove that telepathy works. But point being, just, the universe is trying to guide you on the right bets to make if you listen and build faith in that side of yourself. And then lastly, but never leastly, it's time to talk about, of course, your lifestyle performance. With Mars and Leo, it's time for you to live the life of Jesus. That means it's time for you to fuse daily life and love together. Pisces are meant to be super happy all the time. Not super happy with everyone all the time, but overall have a spark right there underneath the seams that comes out. And that's time now for that spark to come back. So I think between you, Tauruses, and Leos, who have to sparkle the most, you will all be doing phenomenal work. But Mars and Aries, or the Mars-Aries generation, will be literally chasing after the dreams in order to do that work. All right. Excelente. My goodness. That's all me going, holy shit, that was long. Well, friends, that's pretty much all we have for this Zodiac weather and our Namaste Today Live. We have some changes coming up in the future, but I won't tell you about them now. But here's some things. We'll have some commercials. We'll talk about what's happening next week. But if you can, between now and next week, I have a favor to ask of you. Would you please introduce us to someone that's a friend of yours? You see, we've kind of found ourselves locked in an algorithm kind of cubby hole. And it's hard for us to get out and meet new people. As much as we try on social media, we're having a hard time. So you would do us such a great favor, me personally a favor, if you just introduce us to 3 people that you know. And if they like them, please ask them to introduce us and forward and so forth. It's time for us to find our next group of students. And if you've been happy with us, I'm sure they will be too. The other thing you should know is that our Facebook group is available. We have a free Facebook group where you can hang out with other joiners. To get on that Facebook group, visit the Facebook group to go to exactly seriousjoy.org, seriousjoy.social, seriousjoy.social. Seriousjoy.org is where we have volunteer positions. I went blank on that one. And then we also have a link tree that will help you in the same regard. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting this all confused. Seriousjoy.club for the club, seriousjoy.social for the links, and seriousjoy.org for volunteerism. Thank you. Too many domains. However, if you'd like to hear us on audio, you can actually do it on several platforms. We are available on Spotify every week. We're available on Stitcher, and we're available on Apple Podcasts. And we're very happy to find out that we're in the top 5% of all podcasts worldwide. Pretty amazing. All right, friends, that's all for me stumbling over my words in this very hot studio. I'll be back in 1 week for more. Make sure you ride the friendly skies of Aries, and we can come back. It'll be my birthday time in Taurus. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be. The Unite the Light Lightworkers Summit is reborn in 2025, May 17th to 19th, reincarnating in Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country music light. If you live to make the world a better place, we invite you to gather and co-create for 2 days. Day 1, meet curated, love-infused influencers sharing strategies and innovation. Day 2 calls for conscious conversations. Lightworker power panelists discuss industry-urgent topics. And for the first time, you requested, we co-created a 3rd day, a 36-hour, ultra-private, closed-door whisper summit. We call it Afterglow, where 2 or more gather. Afterglow is a secret identity Congress of Light, featuring high-wattage leaders of light who share unpublished career advice and trade secrets. It all takes place in the luxurious Gaylord Opryland Hotel, where you may enjoy a full spa, poolside drinks, and tasty dining. And don't miss the Honky Tonk Supper and Step Networking event happening Saturday night. Wear cowboy attire, feast, learn astro secrets about you and cosmic allies. Consider this an invitation. Let us celebrate our ascension at the brightest gathering of love in the world. Tickets on sale now at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love.